Hello all, welcome to my shed for this week's instalment of In, On and Gone. I believe it's now In, On and Gone volume number 64. This week I'm going to be discussing some quick sellers, okay? I'm going to be going through responses to my tax video that I did last week. I'm looking forward to that bit. I'm going to also show some video of a little bit of charity shopping that I did in the month of August, which was like leaving stuff on the shelf. That's a big decision that you have to make sometimes, okay? Do I take it or do I leave it? And these things are examples of things that I left and why. And then I'm going to finish up with some more sales that I've made from my shop this week. My name's James Smith and I run channel JR74. And as I said, these videos are all about eBay and everything that goes along with it. So sit back, okay? Get yourself a brew, glass of wine, whatever it is that you want, and let's start talking about things that have sold quickly this week in the world of my shed. First up, nice sale here, pleased with this one. A pair of Nike Hypervenom football boots. Now, these are good ones to look out for, especially if they've got like the ankle socks on. You can tell that they're just a little bit up from the base model just by looking at them. So yeah, I was pleased when I found these because I only paid £3 for them. These were a car boot find, if I remember rightly. But I managed to sell them or took an offer on them for £20 and 60 pence. That gave me £14.28 back after postage and after eBay fees. So at the end of the day, I was left with a profit of £11.28, which was 376%. Now, the person who has bought these has just messaged me and said, please hold off on sending these. I'm not back in the country yet. Okay, now you might think to yourself, yeah, okay, fine. All right, yeah, I can do that. No problems, no problems. But the problem that you've got there is that eBay are expecting you to dispatch it within a couple of days. And if you don't, as a seller, there's going to be some strikes against you. So what I might do is print out the postage label and basically message the buyer and say, look, if you haven't got back to me in a couple of weeks, I'm just going to post them anyway. Okay, they're yours, you've paid for them, we got the address on the system. All right, if there's any problems, obviously I'm giving them a lot of notice, but if there's any problems with that, get back to me. But I'll probably give them 2 weeks, and at the end of those 2 weeks, I'll just post them. I think when I do things like that, setting reminders on the phone is absolutely essential. So it will just pop up, you know, post Nike football boots if the buyer hasn't got back to me. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do with that one. But that's a nice sale at 376%. Okay, that's a good markup because my target's 50 to 100. Next up, another car boot find and another bit of footwear. These were a really nice pair of Adidas Falcon triple white trainers. They had the torsion tension bar in them as well, and they were in really good condition. And my photograph showed that. I think one of the things that I would really suggest that you use is the cropping tool on the eBay photograph management system, so that you can really home in on the product that you are selling. People aren't really interested in the backgrounds, they're interested in the product. And if your product is in cracking condition, like these trainers were, show them off in all their glory. And that's best done if it takes up the whole of the picture. Right, these again cost me £3, okay, from a car boot sale. Sold them again for £20.60. Got £14.24 back on these, okay, after fees and postage. £11.24 profit, 374% these ones were. So the Nike were 376, these were 374. I think for some reason the eBay fees were just 2 pence different. Don't really understand why, but they were. All right, that's what I've got on the system, that on my transaction report that I got back from eBay. So yeah, really pleased with that as well. So 2 within 7 days of over 300%. So yeah, happy days. Footwear again, nice pair of Converse, and I got these for £3 as well, and I also cleaned them up. I used the steam gun on the bottom of the shoe to make that nice and white, and then on the front rubber part of these Converse All-Star high tops, I just rubbed a bit of alcohol on it to get all the marks off, to bring it up as being pristine white. And because of that, they sold within a week. Looking at the soles, there was no. That's one thing you got to look for, whether there's any splits in the soles or whether they're like so worn down and they're showing really high signs of wear. These ones didn't, and they were able to keep in really, really good condition. So as I said, £3, £13.60 I sold these ones for, £8.56 back. £5.56 profit, which comes in at 185%. Yeah, these are classic shoes that, and if you look around, loads of the teenagers are wearing them at the moment. All right, the leggings, the white socks, and the Converse boots. It's a huge fashion trend, especially amongst like the girls. So yeah, these are big sellers and sell really, really well. You can't really go wrong with a pair of these Converse All-Stars. All right, lovely. Yeah, these are in order of the percentage profit that I made. Now, a couple of months back, I did a video where I said that I'm not really doing that well with selling shirts. Shirts aren't really working that well for me. They're sticking. They're staying on the store for quite a long time, so I'm not going to bother with them. And quite a few people messaged back saying, no, the shirts sell well. They're good sellers for me. So I started to think, right, okay, so it must be something that I'm getting. It must be something about the shirts that I'm getting. And so I changed my tack a little bit and went for like the more formal work shirts. And this seems to work, especially with the like the colours like the whites and the blues. I've noticed on social media there's a lot of like menswear like accounts and showing you like what to wear, what goes well with what, what looks smart, what doesn't look smart, what is the fashion faux pas, and these guys, standing around in a bar or something, just standing talking to each other, looking absolutely super cool. It's like Miami Vice on speed with some of it. But the shirts are usually it's white and light blue are the two sort of colours that sell really, really well. And this was a nice Marks and Spencer's sartorial double ply shirt, white. So when you get white shirts, you've really got to check that there's no marks on them. And this one that you could see was virtually brand new. So yep, I was pleased with it. I put it on and it sold really, really quickly. Paid £3.50 for it. And I came in at £11.60. That's the offer that I took. So again, £6.55 back after postage and fees, £3.5 profit, which comes in at 87%. So that's in my target bracket, because my target bracket is 50 to 100. So yeah, pleased with that as well. Number 5, numero 5. Okay. A pair of trainers that I paid a bit more for this time. So this is interesting because it's not like the cheaper ones that I'm getting from the car boots. These were sourced online for a little bit more. They were New Balance 327s. You see a lot of the mums wearing these. These are very, very popular trainers with like mums on the school run. I would say that these trainers with the dry robes was very, very, very 2024, and I think really it's still 2025 as well. Yeah, so I sourced these 327s. Where is it on my list? I've lost it on my list. Here we go. Yeah, they were size 8s, and I sourced them for £11.27. So that's much more than like the £3 that I've been sourcing for. But I sold them for £28.60. So yeah, if you look around and see what people are wearing, and also if you're aware of just how much they are brand new. I mean, these New Balance brand new, you're talking about 80 to 90 quid. So a nice looking pair, which these were. They needed a bit of a clean up. I gave them a bit of a clean up, and they've gone to a decent home. Okay, but I got £20.40 back after those. Well, I'm assuming it's a decent home. Okay, because the person hasn't complained. £9.13 afterwards. Okay, £9.13 profit, which gave me 81%. So yeah, really pleased with that as well. Nice pair of New Balance. Next up, now I put this down in sixth because it was something of mine, and I actually made over 1,000% on this, but that doesn't really count, does it? Because it's something of mine. But on the other hand, I will always say, always have half an eye out around your house for stuff that you're not really using anymore. These were a pair of FootJoy golf shoes that, as you know, I'm a big golfer, but I didn't really get on with these. So I decided to sell them, and even though FootJoys are usually comfortable, these were, I would say that over the past couple of years, the design of golf shoes has changed quite significantly in terms of their appearance. Golf shoes are so traditional for so long, and then all of a sudden in the past 2 or 3 years, especially FootJoy, are really beginning to modernize their designs. And these ones were a little bit of like the old style FootJoy. So some people will still like that, okay? And whoever got these certainly did. Again, zooming in on a photograph to show them in a really nice, large sort of like format so that people can see. I think really, if you're a buyer, one of the last things that you want to do is actually zoom in on a photograph. You want it there in front of you. It's sort of like the percentage argument, isn't it? You know, somebody's saying that Dave Brailsford came into Sky Cycling and he made 1% change there, 1% change there, and if you put them all together, there's like a 20% change in total. Well, yeah, if you can apply that principle to the photographs that you are taking, remember you are competing against other people trying to sell similar products. So if your photograph is really clear and shows the whole product so that the buyer doesn't have to zoom in, compared to a photograph that where it's shown slightly smaller and the buyer has to zoom in, yours will be in the buyer's mind in pole position, and that's where you want to be, and that's what you've got to think about. Anyway, these, as I said, sold them for £16.60, £10.92 back after postage and fees, so that gave me a markup of 1,092%, but I can't really include that in the calculations, can I? All right, because it's my own stuff, but still a nice markup. Happy days. Right, there's one more, and I'm honest on this channel. That's the way that I want to be. I'll tell you about my successes, and I will consider everything that I've told you about so far to be a success, but I'll also tell you about my either mistakes or my failures, and this one was a mistake. It wasn't really a failure, but it was a mistake. It was a nice Under Armour cold gear hoodie. So, you know, we're coming into winter. This is going to sell quite well. But when I looked at the offer, didn't have my glasses on, did I? And it was a bit blurry, and I was rushing. So I took an offer of £5 on this, plus postage. So all in all, it was, what was it? It was £8.60. Because the postage that I usually add on is £3.60. Now, yeah, you might be thinking to yourself, hold on a minute, okay? Companies sell parcels for less than that, all right? But I add that little bit extra on for things like postage bags, sellotape and stuff like this. Many resellers do that. And so really £3.60 is quite normal for a postage rate. After fees, after postage, £4.10 back. So I made a slight loss. Now, really, I've done a video before on when people actually do come in with a low ball offer or come in with an offer. It's either an offer that is just below what you've put on there because people are just trying to save themselves a couple of quid. Considering I put make an offer in my titles, I will nearly always accept those. Okay, I have to. But then sometimes people will come in with quite a low ball offer and expect you to do a bit of haggling. This is what this one was. I just went through them too quickly. It was like it was in a batch of offers that had come in. I was just about to go to bed. I didn't have my glasses on. Schoolboy error. We'll put that down too. So in the end, I made an 8% loss. I lost 40p on this. But hey, live and learn. All right, just take it. I probably, considering they came in at a £5, I probably would have gone up to like £8 or £9 on this hoodie. And that's where I would have been aiming for to get me that 50 to 100% markup. But yeah, if I had my glasses on, that's what would have happened. All right then, so let's talk tax, shall we? Now, you can see that I've changed my red top into a grey top because I did that bit yesterday and this is today, okay? And then at the end, I'll be back in a red top because I did a little bit more about sales at the end of the video. The wonder of video editing software. Anyway, tax. Right, I did a video last week about tax. I will admit I was in two minds whether to actually do one, because when you look online about taxation for people in my situation where I've got a normal job and this is a side hustle, there's not much of it about, and that's not very helpful. Now, I need to get across to you again this very important point. Now, the great Mickey Flanagan, okay, a comedian here in the UK, he does a sketch about how important messages in birthday and Christmas cards are to his wife. And he says that they are very, 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 and he says very about 10 times, okay? Right, I am putting the same amount of veries, okay? I need to make it very, 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 very times 10 clear that I am not a trained financial advisor, okay? But the reason why I did decide to put out the video, okay, was two reasons really. Number one, to give you confidence, to actually get that confidence across to you that it's not, it is an achievable thing, okay? It's not a hugely difficult process. It is difficult, but it's not impossible, okay? And just have the confidence. And the second point that I wanted to get across to you was that last screen that I was telling you about, because that should give you a lot of confidence that your tax return, if you have a side hustle, is correct, because you know how much money you've earned through the PAYE scheme, which is your main job, and you've also known how much income you have, how much profit you have generated that you are declaring, okay? So the last screen has all of that. So you should have in your mind the fact how much you've earned and how much profit you've made online, okay? And as long as that matches that last screen, you're pretty much good to go. And that's the point that I really, really wanted to put across in terms of have a go. You can easily go back on the actual website to previous screens if you've made a mistake. And if there's any issues or any problems or anything that you're not really that clear about, give them a call. They will help. And they might take a bit of time to answer the phone. All right, I think my wait was about 40 minutes when I needed to speak to them, but they will help. You can actually hear them going through the book. You put your question across, and then you can hear them trying to relate that question to their like book of guidance. But you get there in the end, okay? They are helpful, and you do get there in the end. So yeah, there's my disclaimer again. But I thought it would be good to actually go through some of the questions that came from last week's video, okay? I'll put a link to last week's video below as well, so if you're really in two minds what I'm talking about, take a look at that and we'll go from there. All right, so let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so let's have a look at the first one, shall we? I'll read it out. I'm not going to, and then I'll comment afterwards. But basically it starts off by saying lots of erroneous information on this. Okay, all right. The deadline information is completely wrong. For registering, it's 05/10. So in this sense, it will be the 5th of October, 2025. For a paper return, the deadline is 31st of the 10th. Okay, so that's the 31st of October, 2025. And for an online return, it's the 31st of January, 2006. This person also went, also you don't need a P60, need typed in block capitals. So really emphasizing that point. I'm really British people, when they're emphasizing typing in block capitals. All that information is on your last payslip of the tax year. Yeah, okay. Everything that's said in this comment is correct, okay? And that is really what I want this channel to be, okay? The videos, the comments, all about education. Now, I'm pretty sure that I said that if you are actually making and filling in an assessment form, you've got to do it by October. I didn't say you had to pay it by then, okay? I did say you had to do it by October. So now I've got the actual date, the 5th of October. As I said, I'll say it again, I'm not a financial advisor. There is some stuff that you've got to find out for yourself, all right? And the internet is, if you, well, to be honest, I have typed in, to check these dates, I've typed in tax self-assessment deadlines for UK 2025. That's what I typed in, and it came back with these dates. So these dates are right. All right. So for registering 5th of October, for a paper return, the deadline is the 31st of October of this year. So if you're doing it by paper, i.e. HMRC have sent you like a little booklet to fill in, and you've done it all there, I think everything needs to be done by the 31st of October in terms of paying it as well. And then online it's 31st of January 2025. All right, so yeah, a lot of things there. Also, you don't need a P60. All that information is on your last place. Right, yes, you are right, it is on the last one. But when we're actually talking about figures to actually put on this, I would always wait for the P60, just so that I know, I'm doubly sure that the information that I'm giving them is correct. And when you're doing videos like this, and I know I've said I'm not a financial advisor, but when you're doing videos like this and putting information out there, everybody gets a P60. I don't know what everybody's last payslip will actually be like. I have no idea. Okay, it could be just written on a piece of paper. There might not be all the information that you need on there. I know that by law it's required, but does every company do it? Probably not. All right, so but the P60 gives that information that you definitely need. So yes, I think I made the comment that you got to wait for your P60. I was just basically giving a piece of advice. You don't have to wait if you've got all that information that you need on your last payslip. Yep, crack on. All right, but yeah, again, it's some good information there, and basically even though it does say lots of erroneous information, okay, yeah, all right, there was some maybe, all right, but the information there is now correct for everybody. Super duper. Next up, it says, thanks for the vid. Made me think so I can check a couple of things. Okay, that's a nicer opening. All right, that's a nicer opening. All right. Firstly, I think you only have to file your tax return by the 31st of January. October is for registration. Right, so that's another person saying it. Maybe it didn't come across properly when I was actually talking about it. I did know that the registration had to be done by October and that you had to pay by the following January. Okay, and apologies if that didn't come through. Secondly, doesn't the £1,000 tax allowance only apply if you're not deducting expenses? So it's really for personal sellers earning over the threshold, as business sellers would typically have expenses, stock and supplies, etc. Right. Of all the videos that I've seen, okay, it basically states that it doesn't really matter whether you're private or business, if you have earnings that you have got online, that £1,000 applies. Okay, so I'm taking that. All right, this is a side hustle. Okay, yes, I've got an eBay business account, not an eBay personal account, but it's still a side hustle. And I applied that £1,000 tax allowance to my final claim. Okay, so yeah, as I've said, you don't, when you got your profit figure, you don't take the £1,000 off it. You declare that profit figure, and then there's a box, a couple of boxes down. It says, is there any allowances on this? And that's where you put the £1,000 in. Okay, so that is what I've done. All right, what I might do from this is I'll check to see if I'm right, but from looking at all the videos that I've seen, I'm pretty sure that I am. Okay, so yeah, I would say that there's £1,000 allowance there, and rumour has it that it is going to be put up to £3,000. So keep your eye out for that if you are reselling. Okay, there's a budget coming up soon, isn't there? They might announce it in that budget, but I know that it could be in the pipeline. Okay, there are rumours that this is going to happen. All right, but again, I am not a financial advisor. I'm just somebody who's keeping my eye and ear. I like to read the Sunday papers, put it that way, and I'm just relaying to you some information that I have read. Okay, next up, what if you, this is a good question, I like this question. What if you sell on eBay for profit, but also sell your old possessions at the same time as well? Do these get accounted for in the same process, etc.? Can't seem to find any answer on this, but they sound separate. Thanks. Right, that is a really, really good question. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've had a quick look as well. I can't give you a definite answer, but I can give the way that I look at this situation. So you've got stuff in your house that you want to sell, okay, because you don't use it anymore. Considering that that is a second-hand product and that you have already bought it and you are selling it probably for something lower, technically that's a loss. However, you don't want it anymore. All right, so is it that the value to you is zero? All right, it's like you've, if you take into account that everything in the shed, most of the stuff, I've gone to charity shops or gone to online things, vintage, stuff like that, and actually paid something for it, okay? Whereas I don't need what I'm going... There was a pair of golf shoes, wasn't there, earlier in this video? I don't really need them anymore. So because I don't need them, is the value to me zero? I think this is why, as well, they give you those tax allowances. So that can sort of like contribute towards this exact issue that we're talking about now. I'll be honest with you, those golf shoes that I sold for about £13 that I told you about earlier, that £13 will be, or the profit of how much was left after that £13. How much was it? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So yeah, £10.92 was left. That £10.92 will go towards my final profits, because I consider those shoes, because I don't want them anymore, to have a value of zero, not what I paid for them. All right, and also it's on my eBay accounting. If I ever get asked by the HMRC to provide my results or provide any information about my earnings, I want to work from the things that eBay have reported to me. If I start taking stuff out, I'm not an accountant. Okay, so yeah, I may be overpaying, but because I can't find a definite answer, I would much rather overpay than underpay. All right, that's my whole, because I don't want to be done for fraud or evasion or anything like that. But it's so difficult. It is so complicated. This whole thing. I mean, really, I'm just dealing with the profits from my eBay store and the amount of money that I earn from my job. Okay, and it's difficult. It's doable, as I said earlier, but by God, is it difficult. So I would say, if you've got more income streams, get an accountant. Yeah, because they will be able to help you massively in terms of sorting all of this out. But that was a very good question, and I hope that I've answered how I would deal with it. Comment below if I'm wrong. All right, if I'm right, if I'm wrong, you know, let's get a debate started on this. So yeah, interesting. Okay, this next one, again, this was a good point, but you've really got to think about the fact that the government is also trying to minimise the cost and not have loads of departments. But anyway, it says, I wish HMRC would create a YouTube channel full of advice about the self-assessment forms and other forms and how to fill them in and all the different scenarios. It is a pity that it's left to others to explain what they want from, say, things like eBay sales and tax. They should be explaining it. Maybe then people wouldn't need to worry or have an expensive accountant. Also, perhaps if they simplified the self-assessment, does it need to be so long with endless stuff about are you a construction worker, have you a student loan, etc. At most, I enter about 5 fields in all the trawl, countless other pointless fields. Right. Yeah. We are a nation, I think, on the change. The amount of income streams that are coming in is growing. You know, to me, at the moment, I'm claiming for eBay. This YouTube channel's just been monetized. So, you know, in my next tax return, I'll be not just doing the eBay income, I'll be doing the YouTube income as well. So that's 2 streams. I would say it would be useful if you did have a screen saying, have you got a job that pays tax through PAYE? Yes, no. How many jobs have you got which use PAYE? And then you put in the amount of jobs that you've got. In my case, it would be 1. And then it will be, right, how much did you earn? How much tax did you pay? All that information from the P60. Then that goes, okay? And then you've got, beneath that, you've then got, right, how many streams of income have you got that are not PAYE? So in this case, at the moment, for me, for eBay, it's just 1. So I'll put 1 into that box. What are your earnings from? Or what is your profit from this? So I'm not saying earnings, I'm saying profit. You then put it in, okay? Is there any tax allowance on this? That's where you put the £1,000 in. Right, your final tax bill is such and such. Okay, it would be easier if it was like that. But what if you've got dividends? What if you are a construction worker? Because I know that they can make claims against some of the stuff that they need to get, some of the safety equipment. What if this? What if that? There's so many different questions, and basically they put it all into one form, because I think what they don't want to do is create lots of departments. And they just basically want to make it, in terms of the department that deals with tax, everything comes in. So really, they've had this meeting, right? Do we either put it into little sections like I've just suggested, or do we have it where they do it once, maybe they'll struggle a little bit, but as they learn how to do it, they then become better at it and we move on? Yeah, you're right, there are a lot of pages that simply are not relevant, so you just click through them, okay? And I also think, though, that HMRC, are they being unsympathetic to our worries? Yeah, because we're going through this. So many people are going through this who've never done it before. And they're just like, oh, if you do it like this, it's fine. No, there is a worry there, okay? Because the last thing that we want, us law-abiding citizens, to actually be doing something wrong in something so important. So I think it's a problem that will never, ever be solved, ever. Tax is needed to be paid. There is never such thing as a perfect system. But you also, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, if the HMRC put out videos about how to fill in your tax forms, and then those videos are really good ones that we all understand, some of the accountants then lose jobs, okay, don't have as much income, and therefore don't have to pay as much tax. So it's a cyclical thing. By actually keeping the information a little bit complicated, accountants are worth their weight in gold. Christ, it's difficult, isn't it? It's really, really difficult. So, yeah. say what you will about it. You know, again, comment below on anything that you've come across, because I know that this is quite an emotive subject, and a subject that creates a lot of discussion and a lot of opinion. Look, I'm doing my best here, okay? I'm hoping that by watching these videos and by reading comments underneath, you are given more confidence to take on that tax form, okay? Right, another comment. Thanks. Useful information. Sound quality is good. Cheers. I know I've been having problems with my sound quality recently. When I'm in the shed, the sound quality is fine. It's when I do a few vids outside that it's not. But yeah, okay. That's good. That's really good. Right, so that's the tax part. Now, I'm also going to show you now some little snippets from charity shops when I'm inside charity shops for stuff that I haven't picked up. Yeah, part of the skill of reselling is knowing what to take and what to leave on the peg. You don't just take everything that you find just because it's branded and it's at a decent price. There's also the quality as well that you need to look at. So I've just got a couple of things now that I think I left on the shelf during the month of October. Let's take a look, shall we? Pair of rainbow Crocs there, in good condition, but for £12, that's how much they're going to go for. They're going to go for between 12 and 15, so you're not going to make anything on that. So no, they're staying there. I've seen Crocs for a £5 before. If they're a £5, pick them up. Again, some nice Adidas Astro boots, but they're wanting £15 for it. Again, that's how much they'll sell for. They might even go for less than that. So no, they're staying. No, I like my active stuff, and they got some vests here for like £3, but you can see there the Under Armour decal isn't really in good condition, and as well the label here, the white has just totally come off it. That leads me to think that it might be a little bit fake. There is a nice Nike dry fit there, but again the logo, it's too worn for me. There's another one, they're £3 each, and there you can't really tell what the size is. So again, I'm thinking, is it genuine? And it's heavily bobbled as well. Yeah, nah, that's staying there. Okay, so coming to the end of this now for this instalment of In On and Gone. I'm going to talk about other things that have sold, but this time taking a little bit longer than a week. Starting off with a nice pair of white running shoes. We're looking at Nike Revolution 5 running shoes, just a really basic pair of Nikes. The Revolution running shoe range is a neutral running shoe. You're probably looking brand new. This is probably about £50 or £60. There's nothing, it's just the very, very basic running shoe that Nike do, but I think people do, I've had them before and I did find them quite comfortable. They're just a nice running shoe. It's like a Ron Seal running shoe. It just does exactly what it says on the tin. It's for running. All right, £2 I paid for these at a car boot. Cleaned them up a little bit. They came up nicely. £15.60 is what I sold them for. £9.60 back. £7.60 profit. We're looking there at 380%, and that's because I sourced them at a good price. Yeah, knew what I was looking for, and that's what you do when you do stuff like this, and you know what sort of brands sell well and what colours sell well. It does put you at a huge advantage when you go to things like car boots, because if you see them and you see they're in good condition and you know you can clean them up a little bit, you can get some really, really good bargains. In second place of the things that took a bit longer to sell was a pair of cycling shoes. Now, cycling shoes brand new are expensive. You've got different types of clip that actually go into the pedal. And these were SPD clips, or designed for SPD. But what you can do, I got the shoe with the clips on them, and you can take the clips off and sell them separately. And that's exactly what I did. So there's still more value in these shoes. So if you pick up a pair of cycling shoes and you see on the bottom that they've got the thing that attaches to the pedal, detach them, clean them up, and sell them separately, because the chances are that the person buying the shoe will have things to attach to the bottom of the shoe anyway. So yeah, it gives you a little bit more profit. These were a nice pair of Specialized cycling shoes. They were like pink and black. They were women's cycling shoes. I picked them up for £2.50 and sold them for £13.59. All right, I took an offer on those. £7.72 back after fees and postage. So that's £5.22 profit, which comes in at 208%. So again, so many things this week well above my 50 to 100%. On the title screen that I did for my video last week, it did say that sales are picking up. And I think after the summer slowdown, because let's face it, people are on the holidays, now people are back and they are looking to get in some bargains. And I've noticed in the past couple of weeks, I don't know if you have had the same experience, but sales are beginning to pick up again. So yeah, really pleased with this. Okay, next up, another good thing to sell, concert t-shirts. Even if it's not your cup of tea, even if you don't particularly like the band, somebody else will. This was a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers t-shirt from a tour from about 10 years ago. It had the usual Tom Petty logo on the front. I picked it up for £3.50, sold it for 15 quid. Yeah, so music t-shirts, tour t-shirts, if you come across these and they're in good condition, they usually do sell very, very well. £9.75 back on that after fees and postage, £6.25 profit, which gave me 178%. So on t-shirts, the tour t-shirts, the music, the band t-shirts are very, very good if you can pick them up for a decent price. Now, one thing that I really want to do in this video, or these videos, is give you an idea of what is a decent price. And I would say for these t-shirts, a £5 and below is really what you're looking for. And it is achievable. Next up was another car boot pickup. And this was a nice... I mean, when I was a kid, yeah, you had the Airfix models, but there's also like car motor models as well. And this was like an American military Jeep. And I looked in the box and everything's still in the wrappers. It hadn't been opened. So, yeah, that was a nice pickup for a £5. So if you come across these things, you know, models, model making kits, people really, really enjoy it. It's like jigsaws. People really enjoy making these and really enjoy putting them together. It is a huge, huge hobby out there, which you can take full advantage of. So this was a nice American military Jeep that I picked up for a £5. It was a Ford GPA Jeep, to be exact. I sold it for £18.60 after picking it up for a £5. £10.51 back, £5.51 profit, 110%. That's a nice little pickup, isn't it? Nice little pickup over the bracket that I set myself. Pleased. Next up, nice pair of Puma Jago ripstop trainers. They were like Puma cells. They had the air bubble in the back. So there was something about them. It wasn't just a basic pair. Just by looking at them, you could see that they were pretty premium. And then if you actually look on the eBay website itself, you will see how much they're going for, and usually then you can get a good idea of whether they're worth getting or not. I'd never come across these ones before, but they sold. Okay, it took more than a week, but it was only about 4 or 5 weeks that these took to actually sell. £5 to pay for them, £13.60 back. So yeah, a basic one there. Maybe I could have held out for a bit more, but I couldn't really see the point, to be honest with you. Get them out, get them gone, get the money back, reinvest it. £8.24 back after fees, £3.24 profit, 64%. So again, falling into that category. So pleased with that. Pleased. Now, this next one, again, I want it to be educational, so I'm telling you about this. This one didn't work. Hiking jackets usually sell quite well. This one sold quite quickly. Hiking is a hobby. Things associated with hobbies usually sell well on eBay because people want to do their hobbies. They want to get the clothing for the hobbies or the equipment for the hobbies, but they don't particularly want to pay full price for them. This was a Mountain Warehouse jacket. Now, jackets are quite difficult to source at a decent price. I would say trainers and t-shirts and shorts are a bit easier than jackets. Jackets, what usually happens is the pricing on them is quite high. I tried this Mountain Warehouse one as a bit of an experiment. I paid £6.50 for it just to see how it would do. I got £11.10 for an offer. All right, so £6.35 back. So a 15p loss, 2%. Hey, you know, you put it out there, you try, and if it doesn't work, then you get the money back and you try again. So I would definitely say that for jackets with a half decent brand name on, such as like Mountain Warehouse, Regatta, if they're in good condition. And one way of showing that they're in good condition is, number one, taking a photo of the label, and number two, taking a photograph of the Velcro patches that usually are usually around here for the flap to go over. It is worth taking photos of them. And if they've got little bits of fluff in them, I've got like a fork that I use just to just run a fork through it, and it will take those little bits of fluff out, and it does actually show the condition of the jacket. This jacket was in nice condition. It hadn't been worn that often at all. In fact, it might not have even been worn at all. Somebody there has got an absolute bargain, but I was prepared to take it because I couldn't really see me getting any more money for it, and it just basically taught me a lesson that £6.50 is too much to pay for a jacket of this type. If you're going to spend this much, the jacket needs to be of a premium brand like Berghaus or something like that. And to finish off with, I'm going to show you another thing that I've sold, which was one of the feet for a roof bar that we had on an old Vauxhall Zafira of ours, when we used to we used to go camping and we had like a roof box. Those days are gone now. Yeah, we still go camping, but it's not really with the kids anymore. They prefer hotels. Anyway, so we've got no need for this roof bar or these feet that attach to the roof bar. They're the Exodus roof bar feet. That is from the Halfords range, and yeah. So, and these things do break. There's like a plastic thing in the middle that you got to twist to actually hold the protective cover on, and I've got 3 of those left because one of them for me broke. So when you see, oh yeah, one of them broke, don't need it anymore, but maybe that's happened to somebody else, so selling them off separately could work. And yep, somebody paid a tenner for one of these. So there's small, okay, to store and keep somewhere. So yeah, it's taken a bit of time. I reckon I put these on about 6 months ago, but yeah, someone's come in with a tenner for one of these. So one's gone, got another 2 left. And the feet have got to match the car. So you've got to put in the listing what car it actually fits. In this case, it was a Vauxhall Zafira. So yeah, important, but yeah, they're in demand, but not hugely. But because they're so small and hardly take up any space, if you do have some, yeah, they're worth putting on, because, you know, brand new, these things are quite a lot. And I would say that this one, I don't think they make them anymore. I think they've changed the design on them. So certainly somebody could be looking out. And these usually have serial numbers on, so make sure that you got your serial numbers as well. Okay, so that's me done for this week. Keep the comments coming, okay? Keep them coming, because as I said, I want this to be educational, and I want people to be able to look at the video and then see the comments underneath of what people actually think. You know, whether it's positive or whether you think I'm talking to, I don't really mind, because I want it to be educational, and I want this to be like something where people can come back to learn about reselling, whether it's from my video or whether it's from the comments. Yeah, So keep them coming. Thank you for subscribing, those that have. If you haven't, please smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep this going, shall we? So, yeah, pleased. Ready for another week in the reselling world. Okay, as a side hustle. Okay, I've got my main job as well, but this is something that I do on the side. So I probably put about an hour to an hour and a half a day aside for this. I do about half an hour in the morning and about an hour in the evening. It's a hobby because, as I say, I like making the videos, and I like you know, the whole aspect of running a little business as well. So yeah, keeps the old cogs ticking over, as the case may be. Okay, nice talking to you. See you next week. Bye bye.